There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
Ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
The divide between humanity and a seemingly alien dictatorship grows with each passing day. Things have gone so far left that it isn't surprising that ufologists are beginning to claim that our government has been infiltrated by hybrid aliens.
I have been reliably informed by a Washington source that there is a hybridization program in process. A group of aliens plan to produce hybrids, combination of human beings and their own beings. If what I've learned is true, there is an intention on the part of these hybridizing species to take over the planet. The aliens have apparently created a hybridized species so that they can survive much better on the surface of this planet than hunkered down in their alien bases.
So Tim, is it possible that there are hybrids walking down the streets of this town today?
Definitely.
People are abducted many times, sometimes hundreds of times if they're old enough. And they might remember 2 or 3 instances. But this phenomenon is clandestine. It is secret. And the way in which you start secrecy is by making sure that the abductee does not remember what happened to them.
Ufology specialist Dr. David Jacobs, a professor of history at Temple University and an author, has written several books on the subject of alien abductions, interviewing alleged survivors to gather and compare different testimony, which he claims forms a terrifying conclusion. He claims aliens are not only abducting humans, but are using mind control to integrate themselves into Earth's civilization and its governments, and an alien species is preparing to take over the Earth. Recently, the Pentagon released a trove of UFO-related documents due to a FOIA request. A common thread among the documents were abductees with burns, heart problems, apparent abductions, and unaccounted-for pregnancies. Injuries were also reported related to electromagnetic radiation due to energy-related propulsion systems. Are these reports legitimate, or is this the next stage in a massive global psyop to herd humanity into the New World Order?
Yes, there are government programs declassified to project Jesus with holograms, Buddha, Muhammad. That was all declassified in 1994.
And if you have a global agenda for global control, then what you need to, in the end...
is Osama bin Laden with green skin?
You need You need a global problem through which you can offer a global solution. That's what you want.
While 80% of the world's population continues on with oil and gas, the United States and a small handful of Western nations have decided to go green, even if it kills everyone. They have already admitted that the disruptive economic burden this will cause is exactly the sort of pressure required to inspire the innovation needed to make it all work someday. Because that's the plan. There are no viable solutions to replace oil and gas. So the sooner we can figure it out, the sooner we can stop the endless rise of inflation, starvation, and death that will obviously result from shutting off our energy taps. And a new company has already appeared, albeit with a bizarre solution to our problems. A massive meat rendering facility is set to break ground next year in Rapid City, South Dakota, and be completed by 2026. With the ordinary name, the Western Legacy Development Corporation, one might never guess how innovative this company actually is. The Western Legacy Development Corporation will process cattle and bison completely with robotics and artificial intelligence, including new laser technology air knives that use a high-velocity airstream to dehide the animals. The Western Legacy Development Corporation is building a massive 1 million square foot meat factory that will be operating at levels as high as 8,000 cattle per day. Now, one might ask, what about all this social engineering to stop eating real beef and get used to eating lab-grown meat and bugs? Aren't we being told that cow farts are bad for the environment? Well, as it turns out, the Western Legacy Development Corporation isn't necessarily going to be processing 3 million cattle per year for food. The Western Legacy Development Corporation will be collecting animal fat to be used as feed and fuel, a biofuel that they will use to power their very own 1 million square foot facility. Now, how green is that? Well, maybe not small farm, grass-fed level green, but still, it's pretty green. Rapid City is a small town, And many residents are asking, where will they get 8,000 cattle a day? And where will they keep them? And where will they get 2,500 employees, which is 3% of their population? And where will they house them? These questions weren't really answered, but we do know that they plan to have a thriving rail system that will be offloading thousands of cattle each and every day directly into the AI robot laser slaughterhouse for immediate processing. So they won't need to store the cattle anywhere. Now, while this may sound like some sort of crazy economist's solution to cleaning up a mass murder, or even some kind of Soylent Green scenario where the government is chopping up people in a factory for food, and in this case, energy.
Soylent Green is people!
We are told that it's all for the environment, so I'm sure it's all good. And hey, at least we won't be burning any more oil like the rest of the world. And don't worry, trust the science.
Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia.
And remember the plan. Once we really start suffering, someone will eventually think of a solution. And if not, at least we were willing to die for a criminal government run by pedophiles.